Welcome to Coffee and Conversation. My name is Honorine, and today I'm with Addie McConomy, who is pursuing a PhD in special education. Addie, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a little introduction.
Sure. So my name's Addie, as you said. This is my fourth year in the PhD program, and I'm working on a degree in special education. Before coming to graduate school here at Florida State, I was a classroom special education teacher for 9 years. So I taught high school students with varying disabilities. I have a bachelor's degree in special education from the University of South Florida in Tampa. Here at Florida State, I've been focusing my research on assessing new special education teachers and providing meaningful feedback to help guide them as they develop their skills and become experts in the field.
Nice. What does it mean exactly, assessing new professor?
So I'm working on developing a tool to provide formative assessment. So feedback about how a teacher is doing in their classroom. So strengths they have or needs to help guide their instruction so their students can be more successful.
So basically that would be when you are kind of observed by your supervisor. That's the tool they would use when they assess the professor.
Yes, exactly. So I'm focusing on classroom teachers, so K-12, so people who are working with, high school students or middle school students or elementary school students. But there is, and right now, you're exactly right. There's supervisors, which are usually principals, come into their classrooms and provide feedback based on what they see, so observational assessment tools. But the literature shows us there's a misalignment between those existing tools and the job of a special education teacher. So special education teachers design individualized instruction for students, and the skills they need to do that often aren't captured on the observational assessment tools that are used with their general education peers. And that misalignment creates ambiguity in the special education teacher's job. So they're really not sure if they're doing good work or not. And that can be frustrating. And that makes sense for anybody in any field. Nobody likes to work without knowing that what you're doing is correct and making progress. So without that meaningful feedback, the job feels ambiguous, it's stressful, and those factors, those working condition factors, contribute to burnout and teachers leaving the field.
Oh, that's very interesting that actually the lack of good feedback leads to burnout. We sometimes forget how important good feedback is. So special education teachers, do they have a special degree, or basically for me, for instance, I'm going to get a PhD in French and I'm hoping to teach French in high school. Would I have the skills to teach in special education, which I don't think I do? But is it how it works?
So in each state has a slightly different sort of perspective on how they certify special education teachers. But here in Florida, it is its own degree, it's its own license pathway. So, for example, at the College of Education, students in our combined bachelor's and master's degree program, so our students spend 3 years with us and get a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in special education. They are prepared and licensed in the state of Florida to teach students from kindergarten to 12th grade. Wow. So the whole way through, and they are also licensed to teach students in 11 out of the 13 different disability categories that are defined by the federal government. So in order to receive services from a special education teacher in a public school in the United States, you have to sort of classify or be diagnosed under one of those 13 different categories. And in Florida, a special education teaching license allows you to teach 11 of those 13 categories, and in all subject areas. So I would say too, special education is good teaching. So special education teachers can teach anything well, but they would need support from someone with your expertise in French if they were going to attempt to teach something like French. And similarly, if you had students in your classroom who had special education services, you would rely on their special education teacher to help you modify and adapt and create changes for their curriculum to make them be successful in their class, in your classroom.
So you were a special education teacher for 9 years. Why did you decide to pursue a graduate degree?
I had the opportunity while I was teaching to support a lot of new teachers. So one, through like formal mentoring. So we had new special education teachers join the district and I was their official mentor. So I was able to go into their classroom and help them. I also had a lot of student teachers, which, of course, are college students who are pre-service. They are not fully licensed yet, but they are teaching in a cooperating teacher's classroom. So I had the opportunity to be that cooperating teacher. And through both of those experiences, I realized that sort of teaching teachers was a way that I could influence more students and help more students ultimately. So I really pursued a degree in a PhD in special education so that I could teach special education teachers and extend that sort of mentoring role.
That's awesome. And what motivated you years ago to go into the path of special education?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And it's I think probably anyone in special education would say like it's a question we get a lot. I really like to be challenged, and it's a challenging field. So I like at the end of the day to feel like I have worked hard. And so I think that is a component of it. I also have it is a priority to me that I support equality, social justice, all those kind of things in the communities that I'm part of. And education, I think, of course, I'm biased, but to me, education is probably the best way to truly make lasting change as far as improving equity and diversity in our communities. So sort of like combining those two things, trying to find a field where I could make a tangible difference in supporting minoritized people. And that includes people with disabilities, of course. Sometimes people don't necessarily consider people with disabilities part of a minority population, but they absolutely are. And so a way to support those minoritized populations, help them be more included in society and improve society by increasing our diversity. And then, like I said, I like a job where I know where I'm tired at the end of the day, and special education is definitely one of those careers.
So do you have like a routine where you wake up before everybody else, you do your schoolwork, and then you take care of the children, then you go to school. So this way, it's kind of like compartmentalized. It's like in boxes. And then, work is at FSU and home is home, it's family. Or is it kind of like all around and you do what you can when you can, because it's not always so perfect where it can be in a time can be boxed?
Well, you did a great job describing my schedule. I do wake up before everybody. It's my goal to be in my office on campus by 7 a.m. Every day. And sometimes I'm earlier. I prefer to be earlier. It just depends on how late I went to bed. But yes, I wake up early, get to my office on campus, and I really value those couple of hours. Usually it's not till about 9 that sort of the office gets busy and lots more people come. So I try to prioritize my tasks, like my dissertation, my research, those first couple hours in the morning before I sort of get the influx of all the other things. And then sort of the next chunk of the morning tends to be meetings. I teach a class, answer student emails, grades, sort of all those other pieces, the research that I do. I do a lot of professional development for Leon County schools. So I use sort of that morning time to fit all that in. Afternoons, I have a lot of meetings. I usually try to schedule meetings sort of after lunchtime because that's when my brain starts to wind down a little bit. And I'm really appreciate the flexibility of the schedule that I'm able to set here at Florida State, because I do leave about 2:30 every day to pick my children up from school, and have a couple hours at home where we're just focusing on homework and resetting the day and playing and reading books and all that good stuff. But then I usually work in the evenings again. So my husband and I will trade off evenings. So for example, I work late on Monday nights and he works late on Tuesday nights, and we sort of follow a schedule like that. So as far as space wise, I do work from home probably an equal number of hours that I work from the building. But I really enjoy being on campus and in the office 5 days a week.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years from today?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my goal is to be a teaching faculty. That is my priority. I think that research has a really valuable part to play in teaching faculty positions. I want to always be sort of right on the cutting edge, very cognizant and aware of where the research in my field is moving and how that changes what I teach our undergraduate students who will be entering the field in education. But for me personally, my passion and my strength lies in actual teaching. So that's why I want to pursue a teaching faculty role. So I'd love to be doing that in 5 years, and then hopefully 5 more years down the road too.
Are you thinking about relocating somewhere else?
Our priority is to stay in Florida. I'm actually a 4th generation Floridian. And yeah, and my husband is also a Floridian. So it's our priority to stay in Florida. Particularly for me, Florida has a lot of positives as a state. Right now, our education system is an area that needs more support and needs more help. And I'm excited to be part of that change, and hopefully move that trajectory for what public education looks like in Florida, and particularly how we apply the federal laws that govern special education to our state of Florida, because it's an interesting part of special education. Most all of the legislation that governs it is federal, and then it's up to the states to interpret it. So I would love to be part of helping shape Florida's perception and implementation of special education.
And that makes me think, on your profile, you said that you had a role in the teacher education division of the Counsel for Exceptional Children. Can you tell me more about that role?
Yeah, so Counsel for Exceptional Children, or CEC, is a professional organization for special education. So it's predominantly teachers, and then faculty members at institutions of higher learning. The teacher education division of the Counsel for Exceptional Children is exactly that. It's the group inside of that larger body that focuses on preparing teachers. So as part of my desire to help like mentor and guide and teach teachers, that is the space that is most aligned to my personal interests. And as the student representative to the board, I'm tasked with liaisoning between the board and all of the student members. That means organizing the poster session for students at our conference, which we had about 80 student posters at our last conference, which was really a great showing for our division. We had about 500 people at the conference. Just for perspective on, 80 posters was quite a bit for us. I don't know, other fields might have larger conferences, of course. And there's also a lot of policy that's involved in that role. The teacher education division employs a lobbyist who works in Washington and advocates for our needs and wants at at the federal level. So we talk with her about once a month. Because I am in Florida and because Florida is one of the states that really needs a lot of strong advocacy work, I have, you know, an active role in that, which is really positive.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for telling me more about your degree in special education, and also how you manage your time as a mother, a wife, and a student.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was lovely to meet you.